back. It's been about 2 years since I made my last video, and I'm very sorry that I haven't been on it. I just haven't been on it. And if you are watching this and you understand the ups and downs of mental health, then you can understand why I haven't really been on this. But I'm in a better place, and I'm hoping to be able to continue doing these videos because I still want to be able to pass on the knowledge that I learned during my during my journey. Because I really think that the stuff that I've learned for myself can really help other people too who are trying to figure out their stuff. And I feel like their journey can be cut. I don't know if it be cut significantly shorter, but I think I can really help them with the stuff that I learned. And I don't know, do my part in making the world a better place. So, for those of you who don't know who I am, my name is Knock Knock Neo, and I've been doing these videos for a little bit before I disappeared for a while. Before the videos, I'm still on Reddit, helping out people on Reddit. But before this, I really started my mental health help thing in 2017 when I was volunteering on Seven Cups as a volunteer listener. And that's when I really realized that doing this whole mental health and helping people and sharing the knowledge and that's really what gives me purpose. That's really what drives me and keeps me alive and keeps me doing this. So for today, we are going to talk about self-care, self-love and self-care. And I know that there are a million and one blogs out there and videos and stuff like that telling you how to self-care, telling you how to, you need 8 hours a day, you gotta drink this amount of water and eat this and don't do that and don't drink this and don't eat that and no, don't do these and blah, 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 blah. And while all of those are good, it's not for everybody. That's based on a very basic level of self-care, right? And I'll go a little bit more into that as you keep watching. So, how do I say this? Okay, so self-care is actually, it's really a spectrum, right? It's really so the real answer is, how do I take care of myself? The real answer to that question is, it depends on where you are in your journey, right? So if you're just beginning your journey and you find yourself, not taking showers regularly, not brushing your teeth, not eating well, stuff like that, then I would say that that is more like the beginning of your journey. So how do you love yourself, or how do you take care of yourself when you're in that stage of your what's the word, of your well-being, of your, how do I even say that, in the beginning stages of your battle with depression or mental health. So one question that I see a lot is, how do I love myself, like really love myself, so I just don't die? Well, it's it is eating the good food. It is drinking the water and avoiding you know sugary drinks or coffee or stuff like that. Not to say that any of those things are terribly bad for you. Everything is good in moderation. Even too much water is bad for you. If those of you say no, it's not, it actually kind of is. Too much water will actually reduce your sodium content in your body. So it's not exactly you OD on water, it's just you lack sodium in your body. So you have to, that's why too much water is bad as well. So, where was I going with this? See, it's been a long time, right? um, so yeah, so you find yourself not being able to do those things. What I had to do was I had to say out loud, I love myself enough to eat good food. I love myself enough to eat healthy food. I love myself enough to give myself 8 hours of sleep a day, or at least some proper sleep. I love myself enough to keep myself clean. I love myself enough to look my very best. Like, those are things that you need to tell yourself, even if to say it out loud, to really start, going. And eventually, you having to say those things consciously will then be embedded in your unconscious, and you will no longer have to say, I love myself enough to eat healthy food. Right? Now, let's say you say those things to yourself and you still don't do it, right? Now, if that's the case, I'm willing to bet that if you say those things to yourself, I love myself enough to, eat healthy food, and it doesn't feel real here, like you don't really believe it, it's probably because deep, deep down inside of you that you don't. Like for some reason, somewhere inside of you, you don't believe that you deserve to have healthy food, or that you deserve to have a clean place to live, or you deserve to or you don't love yourself enough to keep yourself clean. If you tell yourself, I love myself, and it feels like a lie, it's because deep down inside, you you have self-worth issues. And those are the issues that you need to address first before you can really do anything. Because if you really believe that you ain't shit in here, like you really don't believe like I ain't shit, nobody loves me, I don't love myself, I don't deserve anything, stuff like that, then that is what's going to prevent you from doing really anything, right? On even the most basic level. So your self issues need to be addressed first. Why do you have low self esteem? Why do you believe that you're worthless? Why do you believe that you are, unloved? And maybe, and if you ever get to the bottom of those things, like generational trauma, emotional, sexual, physical abuse, um, what else? Neglect, stuff like that, those issues really have to be taken care of first because they won't go away on their own. And then you will see yourself, you know, excelling or thriving. But on some level, you know, for me, even though I believed I was completely worthless at one point for a very long time, even I had enough love for myself to say, I love myself enough to eat healthy food. I love myself. And I had to repeat that. Like for the first day I realized I could do something like that, I had to repeat that throughout the entire day. For every meal, I love myself enough to have a healthy breakfast. I love myself enough to have a healthy lunch. I love myself enough to have a healthy dinner. And then eventually, I loved myself enough to keep going, right? So that is on a very basic level. So that's how you can start. You literally tell yourself, I love myself to do these things. I love myself to have a clean body, so on and so forth. Okay, so that's one side of the spectrum, the very basic level of it, right? Alongside of that is the maintenance of meditation, of journaling, of, I don't even know how many journals I freaking have, of, let's say, what else do you like to do? Sketchbooks, coloring books, what else? Comfort movies, like comfort TV shows. Like, I don't even know how many times I'm going to tell you I watched House. Like, it's just that. Sometimes I need that. Sometimes I need the stability, my emotional stability, for me to finally say, you know what, I'm at a better place and I can move on with my journey. So there's the maintenance side of it. But let's say you've been eating good food, you've been drinking water, you've been meditating, getting good sleep, all that this kind of stuff, and then you're like, okay, now what? Why do I still feel like I'm lonely? Why do I still feel like I don't love myself? So that's where mental health and well-being gets very particular for the individual. So, and so, how do I say this? So, self-love and self-care really depends at this point on your own individual needs, right? So you got to figure out what your needs are. So it could be anywhere from, let's say, you have, you can't take care of, basic necessities. Well, I love myself enough to find work, or to make enough money to afford, basic necessities. Or maybe it comes to a partner. I love myself enough to have a partner, to give myself a partner that, fulfills my needs. Or I love myself enough to get a partner who understands, is attentive to my needs. Or I love myself enough to give myself a partner who loves me, you know. Or I love myself enough to give myself a partner who appreciates me, right? Mind you, really think about what I'm saying, right? It's not about, I want this, I want that. It's just I love myself enough to get myself a partner, not myself, not my partner loves me, he should make me happy, or my partner loves me, he should do this. No, that's not the way that this works. It's I love myself enough to give myself this. That's how that works. That's how the mentality works, right? So let's say it comes to let's say it's about um, let's say you can't forgive yourself, or let's say you're dwelling on your past sins. Then it would be something like, I love myself enough to give myself a second chance at life, or I love myself enough to forgive myself and I love myself enough to forgive myself. I love myself enough to give myself to give forgive myself and give myself another chance at this, right? Or how about I love myself enough to protect myself, right? Or I love myself enough to whatever, to really, feel, you gotta fill in your own blanks. It really depends on your own needs, right? So for me, I found myself not, holding in my voice, holding in, my opinions, because, oh, well, what if no one really cares about my opinion, or, what if my opinion is stupid, or, whatever, whatever. Let's say my opinion was stupid, right? But I did love myself enough to at least say it, you know, to at least try. I love myself enough to at least try to say these things. I love myself enough to voice my opinion when I need to. I love myself enough to say no when I have to, to all those things. And that's what I realized I needed at the time. And now that I passed that point, it's so easy for me, well, not 100% easy. There are still times where I'm just like, oh, I bite my tongue for the greater good, or, because if I let myself, I'll just, go off. People who know me know me to do that. So, but yeah, you really have to look within yourself and see what you need. Because if you go outside, let's say you Google how to love yourself, it's just going to be people just jumping on, the mental health bandwagon, basically repeating everything that other people are saying. Oh, get water, get sleep, get, no, don't drink, don't do drugs, don't do this, don't, no. Though while all of those are great, not drinking, not doing drugs, drinking excessive amounts of coffee, all of those things are, good mental health tips for any where you are on the spectrum of your mental health journey, you know, because let's face it, whether I'm, completely self actualized, or I'm depressed and sitting in my bed or surrounded by my own filth, it's just a good idea just not to drink copious amounts of coffee. Like, that's just, So, but in terms of, your individual needs, that is what you really need to address. And that's where meditation comes in. That's where sitting in silence comes in and really listening to yourself. And that is what overall, what I believe personally, is really the cure of depression, is because you are really listening to your own needs to help you become an individual, to help you become a healthy individual. And is that all I have to say about that? I think so. So to recap, mental health and self-help and loving yourself and self-care are all very important things. It starts off on the very basic level of consuming healthy food, consuming water, getting good sleep. It gets maintained by journaling, drawing, coloring, whatever activity, getting hobbies, doing things that, make you feel maybe not happy, but at least, emotionally stable. So you're not, down in the dumps. And then it escalates to things like, I love myself enough to give myself a new experience. I love myself enough to voice my opinion. I love myself enough to say no. I love myself enough to get myself a partner who will appreciate me for who I am and not just use me. I love myself enough to forgive myself and give myself a second chance. I love myself enough to find purpose in life. I love myself enough to fulfill that purpose. I love myself enough to follow my dreams, things like that. Because, yeah, things like that. Like, you really, that's where all of that comes from. You gotta say it out loud. Say it in your head. I don't know, give it a try. Say it in your head. Maybe that'll work. But for me, I really had to tell myself I love myself enough to eat healthy food. And that's how my mental health journey really started to come along. Where I told myself I love myself enough to do this. And then you do it. If you find yourself not being able to do it, then you ask yourself, okay, why can't I do this? Why is this so hard for me to do this? Why is it so hard for me to voice my opinion, right? Now, for me, the reason why it was so hard for me to voice my opinion is because I grew up in a very strict, authoritarian, dismissive, generational trauma filled home where it didn't matter, where I basically didn't matter, right? So I had to get my dad out of my head, his voice telling me, oh, you don't know anything, you're stupid, you're this, da 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 da. I had to get him out of my head because it was really his voice and not my voice that told me I was completely worthless, that I wasn't worth shit, right? And once I realized that it was really somebody else's voice in my head that told me I was completely worthless, then, you move along in your journey. Because if you tell yourself, I love myself enough to do this, and that little voice inside of you says, no, you don't agree with it. You fight that. You say, why? Why do I feel that way? Why do I feel like I can't voice my opinion? Or why do I feel like, it's worthless if I do this? Really question it. Get to know yourself. For me, in my opinion, that is really the cure for poor mental health is um is knowing yourself. It's really self-knowledge. Knowing yourself, knowing what you want, knowing what you need, and getting the things that you want and need that is for the best for you. Right? Get to know you. Really, really get to know you. And I promise you, things will get better. It will. Get to know yourself. Stop being so hard on yourself. Stop judging yourself. Because all of those things exacerbate the problem that you have. Learn yourself. Knowledge of self is really the key here. Knowledge of self is really the key to your self-help, to your self-care, to your self-love. And I think I'm done. I feel like if I keep going, I'll just be redundant in what I say, but I think you guys got pretty much the answer. So yeah, love yourself, take care of yourself, and I'll see you next time.